thank you for giving me a forum where I could learn to be a creative and effective communicator.
It brought together all different types of people, jocks and nerds, the cool kids and the outcasts.
It was ours, and we owned it, and that's what made it hard sometimes, but that's also what made it so very special.
It's meant everything.
All of this is thanks in large part to the start that I got at HF. Ever since I was a little kid, I knew I wanted to be a reporter, and WHFH was my first opportunity to actually do it. It's more than a broadcasting program, it's people.
Something really, really unique and that not a lot of schools have, and it's really amazing that you can have a student-run broadcasting program like this and have programs put together on a weekly basis that really are of such a professional quality, and it's just light years ahead of what other high school students are doing at that time.
What a start it was for me and for everybody in this room here tonight, whether you're in the industry or not. What an experience it was, and to be able to take broadcasting classes. I mean, I went from math and science, and all of a sudden I'm taking broadcasting and learning about sportscasting. How lucky and fortunate all of us were to go to Homewood Flossmoor High School and go through a program like that.
Think about how many students have gone through the program and have benefited from the terrific education because of Jerry Garber, because of Bob Comstock, because of Megan Tipton. Just a wonderful program that has been great, not only for our students, for myself, but also for the community.
WHFH, as it was when I was there, gave those of us interested in broadcasting and journalism a place to develop our talents and work on our skills. And I'm sure that there are many of us who are still relying today on skills that we developed back in high school at WHFH. I know I certainly am.
As I look back on my 4 years at WHFH, I can honestly say they're some of the most influential experiences as to who I am as a person and in my career as a partner at PwC.
I suppose I remember most of all when the boys basketball team went downstate and Bob Comstock went down with the kids who were doing the announcing, and I stayed back at the station. And the boys took third place in basketball in state that year. So the kids and I made a banner and we put it around the room and said, "We may be number 3 in basketball, but we're number 1 in radio."
WHFH was my home away from home. I was there all the time.
First and foremost, think that the community of students that put the programs together are really what made VBC special. It's really amazing when a bunch of students get together and put their minds together and can really create these programs that are just, years beyond what a typical high school student is doing.
was ours and we owned it. And that's what made it hard sometimes, but that's also what made it so very special.
I still remember typing my name on a WHFH business card and submitting that to be able to get press credentials for a number of the campaign visits throughout the state. I can't believe I was able to ride in the motorcade along with the rest of the press and have such a unique vantage point to American history. It was just an honor and a privilege and a thrill that I'll never forget.
I have yet to meet anybody to get the kind of start that we got at Homewood Flossmoor High School in the broadcasting business.
One of my fondest memories was giving Jerry Garber fits by telling him that not only did we use the radio station transmitter to broadcast, but we also used it as a great pizza warmer while we were there in the evenings warming pizzas. He loved it.
Something that, even to this day, I'm so thankful to have been a part of VBC, and it really was what inspired me to do everything I'm doing. So thank you, Comstock, Ms. Tipton, and everyone that is there now. It's really just an amazing thing.
So while it was hard to survive, when I was a high school student, I look back on it today as probably my greatest memory from WHFH.
We learned how to get along and conspire and have confidence. We learned that it was okay to fail. Thanks, by the way, speaking of failure, to whichever teacher decided to push rewind on their classroom remote control, taking down our very first ever school-wide video announcements that we worked months to create. Anyway, most importantly, we always knew that Comstock and Tipton and the teachers that came before and after cared about us. Thank you to the program and the people who changed my life.
Good evening, I'm Bob Comstock. I was a teacher here at Homewood Flossmoor High School, taught broadcasting for 34 years. This is an amazing evening for me. It actually started out when I was a sophomore here at HF, when I went to school here, and my sophomore speech teacher thought that I had this great voice for broadcasting, and he said that I should get involved in the broadcasting program at HF. And that's what I did for the next 2 years. And it's amazing when you look back on that. Sometimes just one comment that a teacher will make makes all the difference in the world, and in my life, it certainly has. There's a number of people who are here this evening who I'd like to give a shout out to. Obviously, the first one is Jerry Garber, who is my broadcasting teacher at HF. He was the one who brought the documentary project to this program, and that program revolutionized the way that I studied, the way I worked, the sense of responsibility that I had. And he was also the one, many years later, who actually recommended me for this job, so I'm always been grateful for that. He told me one thing when I took over this job, and that's simply this. What he said was, students will rise to your level of expectation. Jerry and I were actually talking about that online a couple weeks ago, and I told him that had a big impact on the way that I worked with students throughout the 34 years that I taught at HF. And as a matter of fact, what I said to him then was, it's amazing the impact you had on kids that you never even met. And we've got a room full of people here tonight who fit that category. I also want to take the opportunity to thank my first boss, Dr. Leslie Wilson, who is here this evening. She was wise enough to overlook all of my imperfections as a beginning teacher, and she's the one who granted me tenure, so I'm grateful to her for that. I was fortunate during my career to work with 4 amazing broadcasting teachers alongside of me. The first one was Del Kennedy, who took in this very green teacher and helped me along a great deal. We've become lifelong friends. I'll always appreciate that relationship that I had with her when we worked together. Next was Megan Tipton, who morphed into my big sister. She was the one who, she and I just ran this program for years and years and years, and she just was an amazing person to work alongside of. She just did a terrific job building VTV along the way. The third one was Hannah Graver, who took over after Megan retired from HF, and she was actually a former student in the broadcasting program, and she gave me keen insight into the fact that once Megan and I were no longer in this program, it would continue to thrive, because she was an excellent teacher while she was here. And then the last person I want to thank from a colleague standpoint is Mark Ciesielski, who has taken over this program. We actually transitioned as I was retiring, but my last 3 years here, Mark started out, and we just worked really well together. And I always say he's the one who brought this program into the 21st century. He's doing a great job with the program this very day. In 1980, I attended my first broadcasting banquet as a faculty sponsor, and I still remember what one of my students, John Donaldson, said during his senior speech. The great thing about the broadcasting program is there's always a place to go, even when we don't have anything else to do. And right then and there, when I heard that, I knew that this was the place I wanted to spend my entire career. My 90-year-old aunt recently said to me, you know, it used to bother me that you never had any kids of your own, but I've come to realize that you actually raised more children than most people I've ever met. This room is filled with all of those wonderful, wonderful kids that I've helped to work with down through the years. And I want you to know I never thought of this program as a vocational program where we had to crank out broadcasters. In this room are a number of very famous broadcasters today. But I want you to know that I realize that the skills that you developed in this program you took with you and you used regardless of what your career path was. And I just want you to know also that I'm as proud of you as anybody in this room. I'm proud of all of you.
In the year of 1965, Homewood Flossmoor opened up a new program called the Viking Broadcasting Company. This company served as a media outlet in radio and television for HF students, and still does 50 years later. A lot has changed within these 50 years. The station moved from the tiny room of D4 to a section in the E building where it stayed for 30 years. In 2012, HF refurbished the studio in a multi-million-dollar project which created a state-of-the-art studio, unlike any other in the area.
When I got here in 2011, there was already a really nice studio, but the school was ready to kind of make a push to get us something that was unlike anything else in the state. So they refurbished the place, gave us a multi-million-dollar studio with up-to-date equipment, with everything that we could possibly want, industry standard equipment, and as you can see, it's just one of the most beautiful places we have. We're very blessed to have the backing of the administration and to be able to have what we have.
This technology, which features multiple editing labs, high-definition cameras, and an array of professional equipment, is provided to the students with a unique hands-on approach.
The students do get a great hands-on approach here. They always have, and I think they always will. What's neat is to see kids come back from college, and they come in and they're saying, oh, everybody in my class wants to be in my group for the projects because I already know how to do everything. And I think that's a really proud moment for the entire 50 years of VBC and the current VBC and the future of the VBC, is to know that we give the students a chance to be able to do something like that and have those skills to be ready for the real world.
With the support of the HF administration, the VBC continues to move forward in its quest to be one of the best studios in the state. Some of their most recent acquisitions, like the VTV mobile broadcasting truck, is paving the way for students interested in all areas of production.
I think that'll really help give a more professional feel to what we do. I think it'll really give our students a taste of what it's like to be on a real sports crew.
We have an incredible 50 years of foundation, but we're still moving forward. As you've seen, we now have a mobile broadcasting truck where we're able to go do games and concerts and plays and just give the kids yet another approach to broadcasting that most schools don't have. So we have 50 years of tradition to thank for that, and I think we'll have another strong 50 yet to come.
Hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
The future of the VBC is very bright, and we have tradition in the past 50 years to thank for that.
It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable.
Let me just wrap this up in the best way I know how to wrap up any program. Documentary 2015 has been a presentation of the News and Public Affairs Department of WHFH.